Do construction jobs drug test? In this video, I'm going to give you the answer and connect with you a little bit because I know there's a lot of different nuances out there. There's a really good direction we can go in construction, and you need to know what the reality is here. So if you're into that, stay with us on this video because you're about to find out. First of all, the answer is yes. Construction companies do drug tests. Now, sometimes if you're in a smaller company, if you're a trade partner, worker, you might not have the required drug testing. It really depends on what company, what state you're in, what's locally accepted in your region. But let me tell you this, I have never seen a trade partner that didn't drug test. I have never seen a general contractor that didn't drug test, and I have never not been drug tested myself. So this is a pretty safe assumption that you'll be drug tested. Now let me just go ahead and talk to you for a minute. There's some things going on here, right? So I am not an advocate for illegal drugs. I'm not a champion for illegal drugs. I don't do illegal drugs. So just FYI, but I don't judge people that do either. We need to get a proper perspective here. A while back, the United States started what they called the war on drugs. We now have 20% of the world's population, the world's prison population, the United States has, mostly because of convictions when it comes to illegal narcotics, okay? So that's a whole political discussion in and of itself, but I mention it to you because you need to know that there is a huge stigma in the United States about drugs from the war on drugs. There are a lot of people that are incarcerated or have been incarcerated before, and most that have felonies based on drug convictions, okay? So that's a part of this whole conversation. Now, let's get rid of the political aspect of this because I really do want you to like and subscribe to this video. I want you to jam out with me. So there, but for the grace of God go I, right? So like, I'm not going to judge somebody else's experience, but the bottom line is for even relatively small drug crimes, people are in prison and a lot of them have felonies. We in construction look down on that. Okay, that's fine. But let's go ahead and also understand that included in the wider, more diverse group of people that we need to welcome into construction, including minorities and women and different ethnicities, we also need to understand that there are real human beings with real past problems that are real good people that might have some of this past that are coming to us in the construction industry that would be fantastic, that we would want and love and take care of. There's a story, and it's on a podcast, and Josh Young actually told me this story. There was a laborer carpenter for the GC team that had a past when it came to drugs, and this individual had a relapse, and Josh invited him to go meet at a place and say, hey, how can I help you? And Josh encouraged him to go into rehab. He and his father both worked with this individual, got him back up and running, and this individual has been working for I think it was over a decade now, with him. It might have been less. It was at least 5 years, anywhere from 5 to 15 years. In that time span, it's at least 5 years, has been working with Josh consistently as one of the best workers that he has ever had. And it was because of patience, it was working with him, encouraging him to go to rehab, getting clean, that he was able to come back, pass the drug test, and be an awesome hand. So I'm telling you that to say that we need to come at this from a perspective of help when we hire people. And I don't suggest that we hire people who are on drugs, who are doing drugs, or who are intoxicated, or who are high. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want us to understand there's a human component to it, and some of the best people in our industry could have a past and could have circumstances where we can help. Now, let me say, you will need to pass a drug test to get in. We need to traverse the requirements for different companies as it relates to local law. Many states now legalize marijuana use, okay? But a lot of companies still require you to not have any cannabis in your system if you're going to be hired. So before you hire onto a company, if you're legally consuming cannabis in some way in some form or another, you need to understand what the requirements are for that company. So that's one other consideration. So that's the high level. Now let me get specific on whether or not jobs drug test. Okay, so number one, the reason that jobs and these construction companies drug test is because of safety concerns. We can't have people coming in, and I'm going to loop in alcohol in here, even though alcohol is not illegal. It is illegal to drive, so I don't know how people get to work that way, but it is a huge safety concern if somebody has been drinking or has been high or on recreational illegal drugs. The time that it takes for drugs to leave the system is considerable, right? Some people are like, yeah, I've had a glass of wine, it's not a big deal. I can go ahead and drive in about an hour. It can take up, depending on your metabolism, up to anywhere from 8 to 14 hours for you to not be drunk anymore or not be high anymore, okay? So from a safety standpoint, that's why a lot of companies drug test. Number two, because of this, because of the safety risk, a lot of companies, and I would say I've experienced 100% in my career, will drug test from the outset to even prevent anything like a hangover, somebody being high and possibly creating a safety risk. Number three, companies also do random testing throughout employment, right? So random drug tests are a very common thing. I experienced it as a general contractor. I experienced it among the ranks of trade partners. They do random drug testing. So even if you get in and you're clean, you need to stay clean if that's the company's legal requirement or their personal rules or regulations. They will do random drug testing, and you have to make sure you're clean throughout your employment. Number four, you will be drug tested post-incident. So if there's a near miss, if there is an accident, even if it's a small first aid situation, or if there's a major accident or injury, you will be drug tested, and that will be a part of what your company does with you moving forward. Number five, certain government agencies, state agencies, owners will require drug testing from the outset and random drug test and post-incident. So you have to understand, even if the company doesn't do drug testing, the owner that they're working for on that project may require it. Number six, the different types of drug testing may include the requiring samples from hair, saliva, urine, blood tests. And you have to know that urine test is the most common type, and they use professional facilities, so there's no faking your way through this. Another thing you need to understand is that your legal and risk departments and your human resources department, your team development people will have certain policies and procedures when it comes to the drugs and alcohol, especially while driving a company vehicle or being on site. And you will be given, likely if you're a part of a company who has those rules and regulations, continuing education when it comes to drugs and alcohol and their effects on the individual and what happens at work. And so the answer is yes. If you partake of recreational illegal drugs, it's probably not going to work for you to be in construction. Marijuana can be on a case-by-case basis. Alcohol is not illegal, but you cannot show up to work drunk, and you need to understand that companies are watching. It's a big deal, and it's a big consideration. And so I don't know where you come from. If you do drugs, I'm not personally judging you. Obviously, we all have our different opinions, but I am telling you to be safe and to be respectful of the employer. These are the requirements, and there are ways to have intelligent conversations. I would recommend simply when you're interviewing for a job to ask questions and to be super, super transparent. Never ever lie, never hide, never cheat, never try to cheat these tests, and never go against company policy based on principle. As soon as you sign up to follow the company's rules, that's it. You've signed up. Like you are a person of your word. You can't go do your drug test and then decide to start doing drugs later on based on your personal belief. No, you sign the document, you follow the rules. So know what you're getting into, make sure that it's right for you and the company, ask questions, be transparent, and hopefully this helps you in whatever pursuit you are after when it comes to construction, and that this video has been helpful. I will put this into a blog post in the description below, just so you know. Love you right here. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I hope you've loved this video. On we go.